Welcome to the Dallas Film School Student Podcast, your number one source of film criticism and discussion coming straight out of Dallas, Texas. I'm your host, Anthony Stanley, for this first episode, but we're trying something different with this one. We're changing up our hosts every now and then, bringing you diverse perspectives on all different film topics. But you're stuck with me for this one, so why don't I introduce you to our guests and we can get started.
Hi, my name is Brenden Jenkins. I am 19 years old. I am a student here at Dallas Film School. I've been a student for a year and a half now, and I've worked on various projects from short films to music videos, and I've had a fun time here. I'm excited to be talking about this topic today. So, yeah.
My name is Ashrita Ramachandrula. I'm 17 years old. I've been coming to Dallas Film School for almost a year now, and the projects are amazing. The people are amazing. It's just really nice.
Yeah, I think we've all been here for about the same amount of time. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you guys say is the most exciting thing you've done here recently? What, just to kind of give people who aren't familiar with the studio a rundown of what we do?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
So, honestly, in my opinion, really the best part about this place is the community. Everyone is here for the same reason. We're all here to, because of our passion for film. And to answer your question, my favorite part has been, working on the films. Everyone has a unique idea to express, and, everyone is on board with it. We all want to, make the best product of whatever idea that is. And it's just such a good community. Everyone's super passionate, super friendly. And, I'd call everyone here at Dallas Film School my friends. And, yeah. That's my favorite part about it.
It is a very collaborative movement. So
Yeah, I mean, this place really allows us to discover what we want to do with film and how we want to pursue it and really apply ourselves.
Yeah, love the people here. And, speaking of the people, Brenden, I have to say, I like that shirt you're wearing. For the people who are just listening to this podcast.
Yep.
He's kind of wearing a Friday the 13th shirt going. He's got that going on.
It's funny enough about that is that about Friday the 13th, I actually don't really like any of the movies.
Oh.
I'm not a big fan of them. However, except Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, how's that?
Friday the 13th is a horror film about a serial killer of a guy that wears a hockey mask and goes around killing serial killer. He is a serial killer and goes around killing teenagers, right?
Right, yeah. Be a different movie
And
who was killing serial killers.
Part 6, Jason Lives, is the only movie that understands how ridiculous and stupid that concept is. It embraces the camp. It embraces the silliness. I'll give you an example here. So, in the previous movie, Jason dies by the character Tommy Jarvis, who was one of the protagonists in that movie.
Corey Feldman.
Yes. Yeah, that movie had a good cast. But Part 6, this is my favorite. I'll give you an example of one scene in particular. So, Tommy Jarvis is still dealing with the trauma from the previous movie from Jason's attack,
Naturally.
right? So he goes to his grave, he digs up his grave, and he grabs like this metal pole and like stabs Jason's corpse with it. And then moments later, lightning strikes the pole, and then boom, Jason's back to life. 10 years later, a corpse that's been there for like 10 years comes back to life. That's like the reason why I love that movie. It's just ridiculous. It's stupid, but it embraces it. It's campy and it's fun. It brings a twist to this, horror franchise that has been repetitive and just, the same thing every time. And yeah, it brings a new twist to it, and it's fun. It's why I'm not a big fan of the rest of the movies. They are, just, repetitive, boring. Characters are uninteresting.
Overall story.
Yeah, and Tommy Jarvis also, in my opinion, is like the first character to actually be interesting in this franchise.
It seems like you guys both really know your stuff about horror movies. So I was wondering, just to start things off, what's your favorite, both of you?
Well, I think it's really difficult to choose, especially with horror movies, but I think Hereditary would have to be my favorite. I love a lot of I'd say my favorite horror directors, and like every single movie they've done would be like Ari Aster and Robert Eggers.
Right.
All of those. So Hereditary for me.
Yeah, Hereditary, I would like to add on to that. There's just one moment, like, it's like the last 10 minutes of that movie. Like, when I first watched it, just traumatized me. Like, I could not sleep that night, dude. Like, the one shot where the mother's, like, banging her head on the attic door.
Spoilers to the listeners. But
sorry, spoiler warning. You're aware of that scene, one shot, right?
Yes.
Very
that shot
aware.
Traumatized me, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No matter what, I was I forget his character name, but Alex Wolff, so like the main guy.
I think his
was
name's Peter.
Peter, yes.
Yeah.
I was him for Halloween once.
Oh, with the busted nose?
Yep. The
Oh,
mole, everything.
That sounds fun.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, and yours?
Oh, yeah, my favorite horror movie, it's a bit personal. So I'm about to start, it's John Carpenter's Halloween. Now, it was the first horror movie I ever watched. No, bear with me. I saw this movie when I was like 6 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my dad is a madman. He had me watch this movie, and the movie is brilliant. I still love that movie. It doesn't exactly have the same effects on me now as it did then, but like this was the first horror movie that I watched, and it worked as a horror movie. Like it scared the hell out of me. And it was one scene in particular. Honestly, not even just a scene. It was a single frame. I'll show
tell
you
me
right
more.
now. I'll pull it up right.
Oh, yep. Bear with us. Some technical stuff.
As you can see, it's Laurie Strode at the doorway, and you can just barely make out in the darkness. You can see Michael Myers' mask.
Oh, yeah.
Just barely. It's
I know
very
that.
dimly lit.
I do know
And
that
the reason
shot.
why this one shot in particular traumatized me so much is because, a 6-year-old has an imagination, right? When I try to sleep at night, I look at my open closet door and, it's dark, right? And, my mind would play tricks on me and the clothes would start to look like the shape of Michael Myers' mask.
Yeah.
That single frame traumatized my entire childhood. So that is why it's a bit personal to me, and it works as a horror movie, and that's why it's my favorite horror movie. So
Interesting. So what about you, Ashrita? Why do you think Hereditary scares you so much? Could it be like similar reasons maybe, or?
I mean, yes, like it really dives into like realistic things, and that's realistic in the sense like brother, like family dynamics, and
Right.
taking your sister out to a party, like having like being forced to, and then all of that like grieving. So it takes all these very real things and puts a spin on it. It goes even like generational trauma. It's really interesting.
Right.
but-
Yeah. So like kind of taking something natural and making it unnatural.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to think like horror movies itself, like why do horror movies scare us and why do we enjoy watching them? I mean, even for Halloween, being like a little kid and like your closet door is right there, it's the dark. There are horror movies that are centered around like fears itself. Like Lights Out is literally about all the
right.
mystery within the darkness.
Kind of similar to what you were saying, Brenden.
yeah, I'd actually
Right.
like to add to that. So when I talk about that closet, or not, when Laurie starts at the doorway, and how it relates to me looking at the closet. And see, humans are naturally scared of the dark because we don't know what lurks in the dark. Humans are scared of the unknown. And, that's what the movie Halloween managed to accomplish. It utilizes the darkness to inflict fear into the audience. And it does a really good job at that.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, given that, could you maybe tell me some more about what elements you think make horror movies really scary?
Yeah, so I'd actually like to talk about a scene from Insidious, which Insidious is another one of my favorite horror movies.
Right.
It's a jump scare scene, and it works perfectly. For most of the people I've had watch the movie, it's an effective jump scare. So, in the movie Insidious, and for context, the group of characters are surrounded at a dinner table, right?
Right.
And they're talking about a scary encounter one of them had, and I'll actually show the scene here in a minute, but I want to kind of describe it first. So it's constantly cutting back and forth between the memory of the scary encounter and the present day when, they're speaking as a group. And the scary encounter is, of course, like shot at night. The tension's building, the music's building, and it kind of gives the audience like a sense like this is where the danger lurks. This is
Right, like a clear separation between normal and unreal, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, like, when it cuts back to the present day, kind of gives the audience a feling like this is your safe zone as it constantly cuts back and forth, and that's how the scene gets you. When you're least expecting it, and the dinner table scene, boom, Darth Maul shows up.
Maybe
Right?
not Darth Maul exactly, but
Yeah, you get the idea.
For
But
those
like,
of who haven't
it
seen
catches you
Insidious.
off guard when you're most vulnerable, and this is why it's so effective. Here, I'll show you
Oh yeah, go ahead.
the
And
scene right
even
now.
to add, I think what increases the stakes is like when the audience knows are like knows the threat, but they don't know what it looks like, it leaves more space for tension and imagination as to what is having that reaction within all the characters. But we, the audience, don't get to that luxury to have that reaction yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is the surprise scene right here, because by this point of the movie, we don't even know exactly what the threat is yet.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is the first introduction of this entity, and it's a brilliant introduction because, like I said, it catches you off guard, and it's like in complete contrast to the rest of the setting. You know what I mean?
It breaks the safe barrier between memory and present day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. So, you think jump scares are a pretty important part of horror filmmaking then?
Yeah, obviously, but obviously not the most important part. For a horror movie to be effective, you obviously have to care. Like, if you're not invested in the story, you know, a jump scare is not going to be effective if you're not, you know, 100% tuning in.
Like any movie, really.
Yeah,
Like any
exactly.
movie, exactly. So it has to have an interesting concept or story, and also has to have good, or not even just good, but at least interesting characters to keep you watching. You know, it has to have stakes. You know what I mean?
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I've also seen, you know, jump scares aren't, you know, too necessary, because I've seen plenty of movies that have scared the hell out of me and don't have a single jump scare, right? You know, when they're able to create a unsettling atmosphere, or, you know, they're good at building suspense, it can pull off, you know, it can actually be even scarier than a movie like Insidious, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
What's an example of a movie, maybe one that people haven't heard of, that's kind of has minimal to no jump scares? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, there's actually a bit of an underground movie that I saw. Anyone that's a horror movie fan, I highly recommend you watch it.
That's the audience.
It's a mockumentary, so I guess kind of falls into the found footage category.
I think that does, yeah. You think that?
Yeah. I
Like Blair Witch Project?
yeah.
So we all know what a mockumentary is, right?
Right.
Yeah, like fictional
Documentary for the people who may not know.
Yeah. So, you know, Lake Mungo, it's a mockumentary. It's very underground, low budget, independent film, but it is fantastic. It has not one jump scare. I guess it could arguably have one, but I personally wouldn't call it one. But it's a master at building tension. So just for some context, the film surrounds a family whose daughter, Alice Palmer, goes missing mysteriously, but later her dead body is found in a lake, hence the name Lake Mungo. And that's not a spoiler, trust me.
Oh.
Anyway, the family start after this happens. This is mysteriously happens, right? They don't know how this or why this happened. Honestly, the movie never really explains it. So after this happens, the family encounters like unexplainable events where they see photographs of their daughter lurking in the dark, and it creates this uneasy feeling because, yes, it's their daughter, but it just looks so unsettling. The way it's shot and the way the music fades in, and it gives, the reason why it works is because, you know, you don't know if this is actually their daughter or not. Like it could be, it hints towards it being a different and hostile spirit, I guess you could say that.
So Ashrita, that sounds not too unlike a scene in Hereditary. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Near the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one? Like
She sees her ghostly mother.
Yeah.
Right.
In the door or something, or in that room.
In the doorway, I think.
Yeah.
I want to explain to you why this works. Is because humans, naturally, when they encounter a threat, we enter fight or flight mode, right?
Yeah.
So, but when you have cases like this where they see their daughter, but it's like it's unsettling, and why it's unsettling is because they don't know if that's really their daughter or not. And I actually have another movie example that's a bit more popular that I'll get to later, but. The reason why this works is because, you know, humans naturally enter fight or flight when they encounter a threat. But in this case, they don't even know if that's a threat or not, right? So they don't know what the hell to think. So that kind of creates this uneasy feeling throughout the entire movie that works. Trust me.
Well, you know, I gotta admit, guys, I've seen every single movie that you've brought up so far except for Lake Mungo. So I'll have to check that out.
It's a bit of an underground
Right,
one.
me too.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
feeling a bit, you know, I'm the host. I'm feeling a bit humiliated right now, but I'll have to check it out.
I will say this. This is how I watched it. I recommend you watch it. Watch it with the lights out. Watch it alone. Headphones on. That's the best way to watch
You
it.
heard it, guys.
Yes.
Watch Lake Mungo tonight. So we've been talking for a bit now about effective horror filmmaking, and I think it's really interesting to hear both of your stances on that. But I was wondering if you had any thoughts about maybe what makes a horror movie not so scary or good, you know?
Yeah, I think I can give a pretty good example with that. There's this movie, it came out recently called Night Swim. Recently this year. Have y'all heard of it?
Yes, I have.
I've heard of it. I didn't see it, though.
Yeah.
Should I check it out, or?
Let me tell you, it's bad, man. It is one of the worst horror movies I have ever seen. It checks every box for like cliche generic horror trope, right? But I mean, that aside, it just doesn't work. And I'll use one scene example in particular. So there's this, for context, the movie is about a haunted swimming pool.
Oh.
I'm a believer that you can the concept's stupid, but with good execution, I'm a believer that you can make anything good, but this movie doesn't. I'll use this one scene as an example. So, for context, these two characters in the haunting swimming pool are playing Marco Polo. That's a trope used a lot too.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Right? And one of the characters is an asshole and just leaves the other character in the pool with their eyes closed, shouting Marco Polo, moving around the pool fine. And then, they have their eyes closed. And then we see this monster emerge from the pool, kind of replaying Polo, right? So
is it in view, or is it obscured?
Yes, the monster's in view. We know what's happening right now, but the character doesn't. I think that's why this doesn't work. Is because this doesn't really put you in the character's shoes. Like, we're not...
It's not subjective anymore.
Right, exactly. All that's happening is we just know something that the character doesn't. Right? And so when the character does approach this monster and the monster goes Polo and it makes this noise and the character freaks out, whatnot, it's why it doesn't work. Right? It's ineffective. And it also doesn't help that the monster literally looks like it came straight from Scooby-Doo. Here, I'll show you it right now.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah, this monster is not at all scary. Here, just give me a second.
Of course. While we wait for that, Ashrita, what about
Scooby-Doo monster? You can't tell me that's like a mask from Scooby-Doo.
I've actually seen the
wow, yeah.
shot right now. Like,
it's okay.
There's zero build-up, absolutely zero. Like, she says, and the whole gist is like Marco Polo in the pool, scary, right? She says Marco Polo. She goes underwater for like 2 seconds. That's all. The camera just goes, and it's just an over-the-shoulder. Like, boo.
Wow, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not very creative.
Zero build up.
So what I was going to say is, while we wait for that, which we don't have to do anymore.
Yeah.
Do you have any of your own examples? Because obviously you're also a very avid horror watcher.
Yeah. I'm more, when it comes to horror, I'm more interested in, like, passionate on, like, the psychological horrors. But I will say, with psychological comes with gore.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
I'm not a passionate fan about it. I'll accept it, but I have some examples of what bad gore looks like and how it's unnecessary to horror, and it's for a different audience, and how gore works within these psychological horrors.
Okay, so like, for example, a film could be like, what's a specific ineffective horror film to you that fits that criteria?
So I would say a lot of the
it's fine if you don't have a specific one in mind.
I'm thinking of like The Green Inferno, or
by Eli Roth.
Yeah. Or I have to
maybe
think
Terrifier.
Yeah, Terrifier.
Yeah. So
no,
like,
yes, that's the one I was. Yeah.
There's sort of a crutch on that without really building any substance or film rules behind that.
Right. When you have a villain, they have kind of like that character development. You kind of have an idea of what happened to them, so that's why they're doing these things.
Right.
And with Terrifier and The Green Inferno, I can see the story. It's kind of like a mockumentary as well, but Terrifier itself, I have some don't like it.
Yeah,
I actually have some of the shots pulled up if you want to see.
Oh, yeah, why don't we?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you guys handle gore, but it's absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Terrifier myself. The second one's pretty good, but...
Okay. I'm not even... It's so bad, I don't even think we can show it in post.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to see it. I actually haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't fully recommend. Oh, look at that. We got some sensors going on.
Already. And
Yeesh.
so Terrifier, it's
Yeah.
it's a, killer clown.
Of course.
There is no reason. What happened? Like, who hurt this clown, and why is it doing all this?
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, we might have to stop
Okay.
playing that for now. I don't know if any of you, any of
was
the
that on
watchers are gonna be
camera?
able to
I don't
see
know.
that.
Anyways.
What the hell did I just
Okay.
watch, bro?
I don't know if you guys are going to be
Listen,
able to
and
watch
this is
that.
I've
like-
though.
never seen that movie, bro.
were you gonna say?
What?
And this is like horror. This is what people like. No.
Yeah, in case
Bad.
that doesn't make it in, that was rough.
No,
I don't even know if I
I've
can
never seen
describe
that movie, bro. That
I
is the
don't really
craziest
think
thing
it would be a
I've
waste
ever
of
seen.
time, and I think it
Alright.
would hurt your spirit.
So what I'm getting here is that you guys think, just to sum everything up, it seems like you're saying that effective horror relies on not giving you all the knowledge of the film, not giving you full context, and then breaking what little rules you have, right? Breaking what's natural.
Absolutely.
And
Okay,
vice
so-
versa. I mean, giving us a reason as to why that is. So, like with Terrifier, you don't
Right.
understand why it's just a.
It's irrational.
I
yeah.
would describe it in other ways as well that are concerning, but
Well, that's another way.
Anyways.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you guys here to talk about this. I think that about sums up everything we were going to say. So that concludes our first episode, guys. Keep watching the Dallas Film School Student Podcast, and we'll see you next time with a different host and a brand new topic.